We cast our eyes back to Aiden as the sun begins to set across the deep horizon, as the ocean reflects the inky black surface of the sky above. We see two figures sitting alone on the sand, only several feet apart, and yet, despite them being physically close, they are still so far away from one another. Their paths have just crossed, and this moment will decide if they ever will again. "So, what happened to your mom?" he asks. Surprisingly, Scotty wasn't getting annoyed by his constant questions. It was as if she was just continuing to spill everything and he was only prompting her. This way, it didn't feel so forced or one-sided, an illusion of a conversation. "She disappeared," Scotty says. She considered saying it's complicated and leaving it at that, but continues nonetheless. "At least, that's what I've been told." It was strange talking to him like this, saying these things aloud. Telling him wasn't going to do anything. He couldn't help her, and only repeating what she knew aloud wouldn't do anything either. "That's how stories go," he says, finally contributing to the conversation. "Somebody's always got a tale to tell." He stares out across the dockwater and throws a stone into the murky depths. "There's just something to consider. There's more than one side to every story, and unfortunately, we always believe whichever one we're told first." They sit in silence for several long moments that, as painful as the seconds, getting stretched. Scotty looks out across the water to the glowing horizon, the only spot of sky still lit as the ocean reflects the dark blue above. "My father told me she ran away," Scotty whispers. "And every time I asked, he tried to explain that it wasn't because she hated me or him." She grips the sand. "But he never told me about her." Scotty grits her teeth, and as if in response, the boy sitting a few feet away spreads out his legs and leans back. "What was your sister told?" he asks. Scotty pauses before turning to look at him. "Do you think your sister had a choice? Have you even asked her?" "What are you playing at?" she asks between clenched teeth. She reaches for the handle of her sheath before remembering that her blade was not in it. She turns and looks at her sword, buried in the sand several feet away, the waves washing up closer and closer as the night falls. "Your mom left because of your sister and the situation you all share," he explains very slowly. "That's why you blame your sister, but she didn't get a choice either, right?" Scotty goes to stand, but he scrambles up faster. She glares at him, but he stands firm, holding the gaze. "Did you ever think about her position? She never had any family. She didn't steal your mom away. She probably didn't even have your dad. The first time she learned she had any family of her own, her sister tried to cut her down." Scotty goes to shake her head, but something stops her. This deep resentment holds fast inside her rather than welling up. "Did you talk at all before she left?" She trails off, the realization stuck in her gut like a knife buried to its hilt. And now we turn our attention back to the massive ship making its way down the Konawa River. The Delta Dawn, having a steady heading, is moving across the night waters as it too falls to nighttime. And yet, as the beautiful sky comes into view, no one is there to see it, as most people are below deck, catching a few nights rest before heading up. There is a crew for the night shift. However, there is not a particular need, as everyone was able to catch a full rest after only a few hours of break time. So there is no need for different shifts or nighttime duties. Anyone and everyone is able to keep the ship going. But specifically, we turn our attention back to two figures in particular. As Holgear stands, readying his spell to cast Detect Magic on this artifact, the glass shatters and he drops it as he is rocked and brought back to this world, this moment. Slippery Jack reaches out and grabs it just before it lands on the ground, and it still fades away. The glass falls through the now open hole in the mirror, and the frame itself begins to dismantle and turn to dust, falling through the floor. Not the cracks between the boards, but actually passing through the wood in its entirety as it slowly dissipates into nothing. So, what would you guys like to do? Oops.
Connor, I think we. Oh,
Yeah, it gave me a vision.
A vision of what?
Where my life leads if I don't find something else to occupy my time.
How do you get that out of that?
Beats the
How
hell
did that
out
thing
of
just fall
me.
through the floor?
Look, I don't know why it showed me a vision of potential futures, I guess.
Okay. I think everybody has those.
Really?
Maybe not visions, but everybody has potentials,
Ah,
depending on which way you go in life.
I was about to ask, where did you find your mirror? If everybody
Everybody
finds
has their own mirror in life. Well, sometimes it's the people you meet in life. Sometimes it's the places you go.
Oh, you meant metaphorically.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Okay.
Were you being literal?
I was curious if that was a literal thing. People were just finding mirrors and just not talking about it.
No.
Alright, thought I'd ask. You
So
wanna
what
go
are the
try
changes you
fishing?
think you need to make?
I think I'm going to
Okay.
try and find more hobbies. Have you ever been fishing?
this thing, and I point at my neck, I can kind of just go down there and grab whichever ones I want.
Yeah, but that's no fun.
No. Now, sitting around having a good time talking while we got bowls in the water, yeah, I'm into that. We could do that.
I think I'd
Maybe
like
go to the back of the boat and do a little trolling.
I don't know what trolls would do in the water, but I
No. Trolling
put
is
some-
where you throw the line out behind the boat and you let it follow you. And the fish chase whatever's on the line.
Oh, I was thinking like a dragnet.
No, we're trying to avoid that future. But
Troll-
yeah, I think
What's it called? Trolling?
yeah.
Yeah,
Basically
yeah,
it's trolling
yeah.
the motor, which is basically letting it idle
Oh,
send you.
yeah. I've seen this be done, but I never knew it was a thing. I thought people were just leaving their fishing rods.
Nah, it's a technique. It's supposed to fool the fish into thinking it's alive.
Interesting. I guess that makes the bait look a bit more lively.
Yeah.
Makes it look like a school of fish or something.
And that's
Interesting.
generally like how most fishing rods are designed. It's like a lot of the good baits are usually the ones that look very realistic and wiggle around real.
Okay.
Yeah, you wanna join me at the stern? Bow? I don't know the parts of the
Yeah,
ship,
it's the
but
stern. It's the stern.
okay.
Yeah, let's go do some fishing.
Merida kind of laughs and sits on her bunk. All right, you guys have some fun with that. I'm just gonna lay down for a little bit. Call me if you need me.
Can do.
Okay.
And yeah. While fishing, do you want to just do like a survival roll, or do you want to use the basic fishing equipment that I got technically is from like Wild Space or whatever that campaign is?
Yeah. I think this would probably be some. Yeah, I think this would just be a survival check.
Okay.
Ooh, you get a big fish and we can all cook it and eat it.
If it's decent enough, sure.
Yeah, get a big fish.
And because this is a downtime activity, I'm gonna see if there's any activity at the moment.
I rolled a 10.
Okay.
What did Jack roll?
Let's do what I can get. Jack is rolling right now, and it's not looking good. I got an 11.
You got one better than me.
Got a slightly bigger fish.
This fish is like 1 inch longer than yours.
Problem of my life.
That's how it is.
Okay. I mean, for the longest time, you really don't get a lot of activity because it is basically nighttime and it is raining. But eventually, you do catch some sort of smaller fish. What you can get is some sort of like elongated fish. They're not eels necessarily. They're just kind of like elongated fish, basically. Something like a trout.
Like a
or something.
like a pike.
Yeah.
Or like a needlefish.
Sort of. Yeah, kind of like a pike, but not quite that big. They're kind of small.
Okay.
I mean, some of the upwards of bigger ones are probably the length of your forearm. but not quite that big around. Yeah, you do manage to catch some fish.
Any other?
Okay, well, I guess we'll spend some time doing that.
Yeah,
Alrighty.
I don't know how many survival checks you want to essentially dole out.
Oh, yeah, again, I'm not going to make you roll a check to get every cast and every fish and whatnot, but I'll say that, yeah, you can catch some fish, and you can cook them up and eat them if you want, or just throw them back. I'm not sure if you're doing it for food or just because you can.
I think Holger's gonna try and fillet a fish.
Okay.
Probably ruin one or two of them.
Are you going to do it yourself?
I'm going to try.
Okay, make another survival check.
Ooh, that's a nat 1.
Okay, you you take a knife to a fish and it just flops away from you. It just goes back off the side.
I forgot to clamp it down. Shit.
It just turns into rubber and bounces all over the place and gets away from you. Okay.
Oh well.
Well, we can hop over to Joshua and Connor and see what they're up to.
Joshua, Connor. I don't know what they're doing.
I don't know either. I think they're bonding. Hey, Joshua, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, previously what you're doing is talking about the dream that Connor just had. Or was it a dream?
Or was it reality?
I mean, when you're a hive mind, you get weird dreams.
Or are you dreaming right now?
You get weird dreams, and sometimes those weird dreams can flip flop on you. You know, it's not to think about them too hard. You know, it's fine. It's fine. So, when you encountered your doppelganger in the other world, what was that like for you?
It was exactly like this. You had a slightly different personality.
Yeah, I noticed. Some of them are kind of wusses. I don't know if that's the right description or interpretation, but the vibe they kind of gave me, the alternate versions of y'all were kind of wusses.
First of all, I'm pretty sure any alternate version of me would be inferior to, well, me.
Can
That's
I
what they all
insight
say.
check this to see if like he truly believes that little part of him, or like?
I mean, sure, and I guess
Go for
Joshua
it.
make a persuasion or deception check.
It'll be persuasion. I forgot to grab my dice. Hold on.
I got an 18.
Then you automatically fail.
Oh no.
Wait, can I just use an auto 20?
I guess.
You did an auto 20 for this.
Can't believe you showed up to D&D without your dice. Go get your dice.
I have like
D&D
my
work tonight.
I have 3 of my physical dice, and I got my phone dice.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm-
Google has a nice dice roller.
Yeah,
you just
come
wanna use
prepared,
that.
bro. Like,
And that is so glitchy. I once got like 4 20s in a row. It is.
that's normally a very good thing.
Dang
Not in
it, I got
D&D.
20s.
Look,
4 20s in a row, bro.
Google
That's
dice
really
is basically cheating. I'm not saying anymore.
Alright, whatever.
good. So Sparrow,
My
can I ask you a
dice.
question? What kind of check would I have to do for like Connor see if determine if it is or isn't a dream, or if he's being hunted down by some weird rogue version of himself.
Yeah, you can make an insight check.
Okay. $11.
You remember laying down in your bunk, but you remember not being able to fall asleep as you were sort of having these thoughts and visions. And you weren't just feeling it, you weren't thinking it, you were experiencing it. These things happened. You can't explain it, you're not sure how to define it, but you're confident that you weren't dreaming it. I'll give you that.
Man, it ain't right, man. I should be the only aware Connor. There's no way in all the multiverse there could be another me running around somewhere. That ain't right. Right? And to top it all off, I traded my rapier for a real sassy sword. Do I still have it, or was that put in the bag? Or is it still in the bag?
It's in the bag of holding.
Yeah, I think all your stuff's in his bag.
Okay, I was just imagining Connor like having to place it, like again, thoroughly wrapped up on the table if he still had it, but if it's in the bag.
Yeah, every so often there's like a muffled, rude comment.
Leave it to Connor to get a lumpy space princess sword.
Why do you keep calling it lumpy?
Because the vibe it gives is lumpy space princess from Adventure Time.
I don't know
That-
what. I've never seen Adventure Time. Lumpy space. Lumpy space. Oh, okay. I know what you're
Yeah,
talking
right?
about now.
Now
Gotcha.
you see why it's associated with them, huh?
Okay. All right.
But again, leave it to Connor to get a cool, like somewhat magic sword with a +3 sword. That happens to be one of the rudest swords in the multiverse. Just give it to our big bad evil guy if you ever find him, just to torment him. But Connor's just gonna go outside for a minute. He's gonna put on like a coat or something and just go outside to get some air and stuff.
Okay.
Like be away from everyone for a minute just to process the whole
Okay.
weirdness of it all.
Yeah, you wanna climb up one of the poles into like the crow's nest, or you like go out on the front or something.
I'll go up, but
Okay. Yeah. There's
I'll
not
take
like
a
there's not like a big old pole sticking out the front or a figurehead like most sea sailing ships have, but there is sort of like a crested front to the boat that you can kind of just go and sit on, watch the river, I suppose.
I just sit down and I'm like, ugh, I don't. And now I'm starting to see why most people go to religion. This kind of
Alright,
shit's
well.
confusing.
Looks like I have to break out new D&D dice because I can't find the metal ones.
Okay.
Dude, metal dice are cursed, man. That's like a consistent rule.
I don't like the plastic ones. I like the metal ones. But anyways.
I mean, if that's
So,
your preference, man, that's your
Guess you get
preference.
these
What are you
20
doing on the front of the boat?
I'm probably just staring off into the distance, maybe trying to keep my head on a swivel because that whole dream kind of really shook me up, you know?
Alright, make a perception check.
And use my physical dice, or do you want me to do it on
No,
the
you can
ones I got?
you can roll however you want.
I'm going to use my physical dice because I got like a whole bunch.
That's
I
fine.
really wanna
I don't
roll.
care. I don't need to see it. I'm just asking what you roll. If you want to cheat, that's your prerogative.
I got a 15 and perception 9, 24.
Wow. You've got
Okay,
some high
jeez.
perception.
I got a +9 to perception, bro.
That's crazy.
Uh,
What is your passive perception?
my passive is And 19, and my passive insight is 19.
Oh, goodness. Okay. I will need to remember that. Yes, you are constantly aware that there is this not unearthly feeling, but this uncomfortable feeling that there is something beyond your normal sensory perception. Like there's someone or something just outside of your perception. And it's
I,
following you now, as if it's concerned that you are aware of it.
I'm gonna stand up and yell, "Come out, damn it! If you're gonna haunt me, at least have the decency to just look me in the face when you do it."
Make
All
a
right.
persuasion check.
This is annoying the hell out of me. Okay? I got a 19 on persuasion.
You...
I'm just standing out on the boat and just screaming it.
As you stand on the edge of the boat, you again sense that feeling that there's something there. And though you don't hear any words, you feel almost as if remembering more than it's communicating into your thoughts. The idea of someone saying, "So you're aware of me."
Yes, I'm aware of you. Who are you? Are you like an evil me that's aware, or are you some other weird deity that we're all bumping into now? Just give me a name or show your face or something. Dude, I'm freaking out at this point, and I have lived a lot of freaking lives to be freaked out.
You call out to this individual, and they attempt to reach back. Do you allow that to? Do you allow this unknown feeling to pass across you?
I will.
You
Yeah, no.
you accept this foreign communication, and you feel like you're being stretched beyond infinity. And you look out across the waters towards the bank, and you're no longer seeing the physical place that surrounds you anymore. You're looking closer, as if there's something closer than the world that you are just right now. You look out across infinite nothing to something that's far closer than the world that you currently stand in. And there it is. There's a figure. Not close to you in a physical sense, but in proximity to you, as if they're hovering just over your shoulder. And you can turn to rotate to face them. But again, there's no physical representation of this person, who they are, what they represent, and what they're doing and what they look like.
Can I draw my dagger and use flare to make like a dim light in the darkness?
Okay. You draw your dagger on the board of the ship, and you cast flare on it. But that doesn't help you view this other world that you're trying to make contact with any better.
What do I call you? What do you want from me?
It seems confused, and you can tell it's smiling, not in a jovial or evil way, but kind of awkwardly, as if it's not sure how to answer that. And it seems to ask, if you were in its position and you were able to communicate to a being beyond yours across countless dimensions, what would you call yourself?
I mean, aside from calling myself Connor, I go across planes all the time, and Connor always seems to be the acceptable name people like.
Make a wisdom saving throw.
Oh fuck! Oh, fuck! 18.
What if your name wasn't Connor? What if that was just a label, a name given to you? What if that wasn't your name?
I mean, I know another name I'd probably use, but I don't think I'm supposed to say that name.
What name would that be?
Chitangu. That's the name I've always heard. The only name I can associate with myself, but that's not a name I'm supposed to say. Otherwise, I might get.
The figure
really
shakes
upset.
its head. Again, that's a title given to oneself.
I don't know what to. I can't name you.
It's going to attempt to go deeper. Do you allow it to?
Yeah, I'll go deeper.
Okay. Your vision darkens completely, and there's no sense of up, down, no cold, no realization of gravity, no touch of the boat beneath you. You are just in existence, a thought moving through a place, like how you feel in a dream. And you're standing in an empty, gray sand expanse. And for a moment, you might think it would be Karthus, but this almost feels like it's before. Karthus, a long time ago, perhaps, but how can a place outside of time experience the passing of time? And that brings to light what happened when you guys were in Karthus. You did experience the series and passing of events. Does that mean that Karthus, a place outside of time, can experience time if people from inside of time come to visit? And this figure is standing on the edge of this cresting sand dune, and it almost seems to beckon you in a way. And as you draw close and stand beside it, the figure says, "I met a traveler from an antique land who said, 'Two vast and trunkless legs of stone stand in the desert. Near them, on the sand, half sunk, a shattered visage lies, whose frown and wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command tell that its sculptor well those passions read, which yet survive, stamped on these lifeless things, the hands that mocked them and the heart that fed. And on the pedestal these words appear, my name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty in despair. Nothing beside remains round the decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare. The lone and level sands stretch far away. And then you're back on the boat. And for a moment you have this split-second recollection that you fear you might forget everything you just experienced. Please make me a wisdom saving throw.
Fuck. Please let this be the one. Don't let this be the one that fucks. Fuck. 13.
Are you confident with a 13?
Nah, I'm gonna use my nat 20.
Okay, for a total of
23.
23. You remember this vision. You remember what they said. You don't understand any of it. You wonder if they are just mad ramblings you can't discern. And before you spiral down this thought, you realize the jagged sand dunes and something that was in the sky. When you visited, it was just this boundless sun that stretched from horizon to horizon. But in this vision, it almost seemed like night. And the dunes were more jagged like mountains. And in the sky was a pale sphere. Jagged lines, a circle, a Z, and the letter O. Individual, they don't mean anything. But from this vision, you were able to maintain these two letters. And then you reverse them. You put them in order. O-Z. Oz. A name. A true name. And then it starts to make sense. A figure outside, looking, behind the curtain, controlling the wizard, Oz. Of all of these stories and references and things of lore and mythos, you now understand who this true enemy is. Kitangu being just a name, a title, to cover up the fact of who he truly is, who you represent. Oz.
Connor just looks at his dagger and sheathes it and processes the Wizard of Ozymandias, the Wizard of Oz, the Great and Powerful. And I'm thinking, is he the one that pulls the strings? Is he the real puppet master of it all? I'm just running like countless different thoughts in my head, and I'm trying to go to different Connors, like grasping at every kind of information they could possibly give me to figure out what is going on. Why is Ozymandias coming to me? Why is he doing this to all of us? I never did anything to really hurt anyone. I mean, do I avoid a lot of trouble? Yeah, but it's just my nature. I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do, right? And so I'm just going to every Connor's mind that I can grasp at to try and piece together what he wants. Why take me out of everyone else?
Okay. Make a investigation or insight check. To be clear, these checks will yield you different information.
I'm going to do insight because I feel like he wants to know why more. I got an 18.
And you're trying to determine who Oz is or what he wants?
Yes.
You reach out across all the different Connors and the different dimensions. And you see them experiencing and observing the different realms and realities that exist. And at first it doesn't make any sense. You're trying to figure out if there's something that they know. But there isn't. They're not aware of you. They're not aware of this person called Hitongu. They don't know the name Oz. And yet, there's some sort of oblivious to it all that almost seems to be the key, the answer. They're just living. They're just experiencing life. However that is. There are eyes and ears everywhere. A toe dipped into each and every world. Simply experiencing it. At least, for now. You cannot seem to determine the true purpose, origin, or goal to this action. But that is simply what the Connors are. Just infinite aspects of this individual. Make an intelligence check.
I gotta get intelligence. I only got a +0. I got a 3.
Okay. That's it.
And Connor's just gonna crawl back inside and sit in the corner and kind of curl up a bit.
Okay.
Feeling kind of defeated for some strange reason.
We can cut back over to... Oh, Joshua, are you back? I think he's still eating. We can cut back over to Holger or Jack, or if that's all you want to do for now. Basically, we've got several days of downtime if you guys just want to do stuff.
I was just gonna be standing his quote-unquote watch on the crow's nest, like kind of just trying to make himself small, like as small as he's ever really been, to just get out of the eyes of everything that's ever been watching him. He's for the first time since he can ever recall, he feels he's being watched by someone. He just doesn't want to be watched anymore. So he's just trying to be small and insignificant.
Okay. Were you going to say something, Holger?
I was going to hopefully attune to my rocks and see if there were
The
any
rocks
others
do
on
not
this
require
reality.
attunement.
True. But I was hoping to like meditate on them rather.
Okay. Which ones? Are you talking about Beer's rocks or your rocks? Your stones?
I don't know who Beers is, so I'm just
Beal.
talking about the butcher.
Beal that
Oh.
sold you the different magic rocks.
No, sorry, just my rocks.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, you can spend some time, focusing on them. Do you focus on one in particular, or are you just trying to... What are you trying to do?
So, every time I've found one of these, I've sort of felt like a ping. Sort of like a resonance, if you will.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to try and like use the three of them to sort of focus, if that makes sense.
Okay. Go ahead and make a religion check. Or if Arcana is better for you, you can do that.
They're the same.
Okay.
I have 14 Arcana.
Okay. Um, as you're just sort of focusing on them, you can I lost what I was going to say. You
As
you
I sit,
understand that there is a reason behind each and every one, as if each individual stone has a purpose, a place. You know, it is tied to an event, an experience that you had. And so each of them individually have separate purposes, but they only respond to you, which means that you yourself have some sort of aspect. So it's less about these things particularly tying you to this sort of otherworldly, power beyond some sort of deity or what have you, but rather you, in a way, are connected innately, and then you can draw upon them.
okay, so they're specific to me.
Yes, and they in turn, they're specifically helping you remember a specific time and place.
Okay. After I figure that out, I'm just gonna practice my lyre a little bit.
Okay.
Think about the missions.
Okay. You didn't want to focus on any one in particular?
Oh, well, yeah, I'll go through the rotation of them if I get anything different.
Okay. Which one do you start with?
Uh, Heart and Home, Nanny's Luckstone.
Okay. As you focus on that one stone in particular, you can feel yourself drifting off and away, and you feel the air around you change from this cold breeze as the boat moves to the warm embrace of a hearth. And when you look around you, you are in your home. But not as it is now, in this destroyed remnants of what happened to Need, but how it used to be, how it should have been. Those cold and almost nostalgically sad, melancholy nights where you were alone but surrounded by family, and those gatherings on different events and occasions, sitting in comfy chairs or talking, and just outside of view, you are alone next to the hearth. But all around you are voices, commotion, people enjoying themselves. The idea of what a home should be. And you may choose to stay here as long as you would like.
I think I'm gonna stay here for like 15 minutes, and then afterwards, I suppose I'll move on to the deserted Hearthstone.
Okay. I believe this is the one from Mutton Chop's home in Yashira, correct?
No, that is the Butcher's Bloodstone.
Ah, you're correct. So this is the one from Karthus, right?
Yes.
Okay. As you focus on this stone, you feel yourself enwrapped by yet another warm breeze. One that's distant, ambient. Not from the heat of a roaring fire, but rather just the almost sweltering heat outside being held at bay by the glass and the strange structure around you. You are in the empty diner, the journey's end. and you may stay here as long as you would like.
Can I try and get some food?
You may.
Okay. I'll get a full meal, and then after I eat it, I'm going to stop concentrating and see if I'm still full.
You are still full.
Hell yeah.
And if anyone was paying attention, Holgear disappears for as long as he was in that place.
Awesome.
Because when you travel to these places, you're not just remembering them in a dream. You are actually going to them.
Wait, so does that mean Nanny's Luckstone teleports me back in time?
Perhaps.
To... Okay. Next up on the docket, Butcher's Bloodstone.
Okay. You are transported towards the dark and wet jungles. The sound of distant wildlife in the forest comes through the destroyed and open walls, doors, and windows of Mutton Chop's cracked home. And yet there is some sort of, semblance of peace here. There is a roof over your head that prevents the cold rain from falling down. And the stone is cold, but not uncomfortably so. As if in a respite from the cold and cruel world outside, this is still a home.
Can I get up and walk around? See
You absolutely can.
Can I go outside?
If you go to step outside of the building, your concentration wanes, and if you commit, you break out of this space and go back to the boat.
Okay. That's still really cool.
Yeah. If you ever choose to leave these locations, you simply just go back to where you were.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Not
Yeah.
gonna lie.
But these locations are accessible to you. They're like large rooms in your minds, exactly as you experienced, and when you go to them, they are exactly as you remember, exactly as you left it, and as real can be.
I get my own mind palace. Hell yeah.
Technically speaking, you are actually traveling to these locations. You are teleporting.
That's even cooler. Anybody else have anything?
I mean, do you take anybody on these journeys? Or are you just doing them yourself?
Yeah, actually. I'm going to see if Merida would like to visit the jungle.
Where are we going?
It's not too far. It just requires a bit of concentration.
You know teleportation magic.
Of a sort.
Interesting. Alright, and it just uses this object? You don't need a circle?
No. Well, I'm not going to lie, this is kind of newer to me.
It's very new and strange to me, but... Alright. Sure. Should I bring anything with me, or...?
Don't think so.
Oh,
If we
okay.
need something, we can just come back.
Well, I just wasn't sure where we're going and what... Yes. Please.
Don't worry. It's nice. It's quite cozy. And if she'll let me, I'll bring her with me to the jungle cabin.
Alright, you do so. She looks around at the shoddy interior of this structure and she's like, okay. Do you need help fixing this place up, or?
No, I thought you might enjoy a break from the waves and the ambiance of a nice forest.
I will admit, I am not the best with boat travel, but I mean, if we can go to a place like this every so often, I think I might be able to make it. I thank you for bringing me here. She kind of finds like a half sturdy stool and sits down on it.
I won't lie. It's not nearly as well put together as I was. Well, it's exactly as I remember.
I wonder what happened here. Do you want to tell her the story?
I was just about to ask, would you like to know?
Sure.
I'll go ahead and tell her the story about getting teleported to a jungle.
She is very intent, almost like a student, whenever she is told a tale, and listens intently as you detail every aspect of it. She's very confused about some sort of context to why you all came here and the rest of the crew and a bunch of other stuff I'm sure you sort of leave out, but she is intrigued but doesn't ask any questions.
Yeah, I will tell her about this being the first time we'd met Mai.
Okay. Well, that's nice. Fun to know how you met your friend.
Personally speaking, I still think we could have taken on that displacer beast, but they were more comfortable leaving it be.
Displacer beasts are interesting creatures. They're not specifically territorial, but they do hold grudges.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't mean to talk your ear off. I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to knowing things, so sorry.
Yes. You sat through my story well enough. I can indulge a few fun facts.
Okay. Well, yeah. Sorry. Were you asking me for some fun facts, or were you just saying that?
I'm inviting you to inform me.
Well, let's see. She looks around. Do you know how the first stone was created?
Beg your pardon?
Do you know how bricks were first invented, rather?
Oh, I assume somebody tried building a house out of mud and decided, hey, I could do this better.
Yes, basically that. Someone noticed when the landslide of this sort of nearby structure started to collapse, but there were still chunks of it that were still solid because they were baked, and so someone decided to rebuild it using those sort of cooked elements of it and just sort of carved and then stacked them up. Here's something. I bet you didn't know that's actually what led to the creation of the Delta Dawn.
Does it have to do with the mushrooms that the walls are made of?
Oh, so you know about the mycelic compounds?
Kind of. No, of them.
Well, the whole New Dawn project was started when Need was looking for a new way to make ships that would be sustainable and be able to heal itself was the main aspect. So they were looking at fairy forest trees, but the unfortunate thing about those trees, while they are magical and will sustain themselves and you can uproot them and bend them, they are actually the souls of elves and whatnot being regrown into trees. So using them is kind of slavery in a way, but also very inappropriate towards the dead.
I could definitely see how that would be inappropriate.
Yes, especially as the Nuvidian Empire is mostly elves, and, well, the rest of the layering expanse is even closer tied with nature, so that idea was almost scrapped immediately after research. But next stage was actually research in Pykrete. Do you know what Pykrete is?
Out of character, yes. In character,
Okay.
I know it's wood-ish.
What it is it's a sort of sawdust-ish or some other sort of compound mixed with ice to give it some sort of structure. And so, yeah, they were originally going to make an ice base for the ship and, you know, carve that out, and it would be able to heal itself whenever it got damaged. But one of the other problems that they had is the erosion due to the water, and if you wanted to enchant it, you would have to carve all those runes into the surface of something, and so ice that would, you know, erode away and then rebuild upon itself would eventually wear those down, and so the cost of enchanting that whole was going to cost so much more maintenance than was necessary. But other than that, it wasn't a bad idea. So that's why they turned to the mycelic compound, is because it's a natural substance that, you know, fungus will take surrounding elements and degrade it and combine it with itself naturally. So taking this sort of mud mixture and shaping it and then baking it into the hull of a ship actually works. And when a part of it gets chipped or broken or eroded off, you just need to add a little bit more and it seamlessly works its way into itself even more. And actually, the longer the ship is, the stronger it becomes. Theseus would have been proud. Sorry, do you know about the boat of Theseus?
No, I'm afraid
It's
I'm not familiar.
just a simple thought experiment of if you have a boat and you break off parts of it and replace it, and eventually after a while, if you've replaced every part of the boat, is it still the same boat? That's all it is, really. It's just a interesting thought. What do you think? Is it still the same boat?
I think it more depends on who's piloting the ship.
And that's
They
my thoughts
bring-
exactly. Depends on who owns it.
If they care to keep the ship the same, then I suppose... Well, no. As long as they view it as the same vessel, then it doesn't matter how many bits and pieces get replaced. They'll still care for it all the same.
Right. You can add on to it and take away from it, but as soon as it changes hands, and that person can either leave it the same or do something different with it, it's not the original boat anymore.
Exactly.
She smiles at you.
Smiles back.
She sticks out a hand and catches a bit of falling water that's dripping through a leak in the roof.
This might be a good experiment, though. And I'm gonna grab a slightly less rotted stool and try and reach the leak and cast mending on it.
Okay, you do so.
Does the leak fix?
It does.
Now, whenever we leave and then I come back, I need to see if that leak is still there.
You want to do that real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fixed.
If she's down, let's do some experimenting.
Yeah, it's fixed.
Interesting.
Yeah, with Merida's help, you learn that this is not just a replication of this memory of yours, but is actually sending you back to that place, physically.
Awesome.
Which leads you to believe that perhaps Nanny's Luckstone is from something that's not specifically your physical Hearthstone in your physical house, but somehow tied to something else.
I'm gonna need to look into that. Yeah, I think I'm gonna spend some time repairing some of the furniture in here, and
Okay, Merida helps you out.
yeah, nice bit of woodworking.
I'll say that by the time you guys get done with that, maybe it's almost dawn, and you guys don't even realize it.
Nice.
But yeah, you guys can work through the day and the night. You only need like a couple hours of a short rest to get the benefits of a long rest, so.
Yeah, we'll just fix up
As long as you're resting on the boat with the Slumberfoot, just to be clear.
Yeah. And then I'll scene swipe to somebody else.
Okay. Anyone else got something?
Joshua is chilling on the below deck alone.
Okay.
Since Connor wandered off, and Holgear is busy doing something,
He's got a date.
Joshua's just chilling.
Okay. Would you like to be the first person to take a rest?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Let's take a rest.
Roll me a d20 if you don't mind.
I lost my plastic dice too. Hold on. Okay, where are they? Alright. There's... Like, this is straight up D20, or do I add any modifiers?
Just a straight up d20.
I rolled a 7.
Okay. Choose a number between 1 and 4.
5. Wait. No, 2.
Okay.
Oh man, I'm gonna get like super cancer or something.
You drift off to sleep. And as you do so, you look out across a sea of golden wheat that gently blows in the breeze. The horizon, a brilliant cobalt sky with faded vanilla clouds that drift away and shift in obscurity. Stalks of wheat bobbing gently in rhythmic patterns to the wind that blows across their heads like waves. You stand in this sea of golden grain, a crisp and clear vision with vivid colors and solid aspects. Simple yet beautiful vista that would feel magical with the aspect of an infinite field of wheat and open sky, if not for the underlying feeling that causes your stomach to tighten. A deep-seated pain that grips one's inside, a clear understanding that something is wrong, as if drawing away from the aspect of what is being seen and drawing upon something that has happened that ruins the mood. An unrelenting sadness wells up inside you. The kind of pain that makes you feel like you're dying or wish you could. The farthest step beyond words or tears that just makes you feel like you want to tear yourself apart, to physically rend your body in order to manifest a pain remotely similar to what you feel inside. And yet, you can do nothing but simply gaze out upon the lovely horizon and hurt. To simply feel pain in spite of the beauty the world has. You awaken with a new sense of the world, grasping at your chest before disconnecting from your strange dream.
I'm gonna roll an Arcana check and see if I had a epiphany of magic of sorts.
Okay.
Hold on. I gotta check my Arcana modifier. I'm still looking for my dice, by the way.
Oh,
So,
jeez.
like, if you, like, hear me rummaging around, that's just me.
Yeah, why do you not have your dice?
Look, I somehow forgot them. Alright. Does a 19 succeed?
A 19 Arcana. You're trying to have some sort of epiphany?
No, I'm trying to see if I had an epiphany.
I mean, that's up for you to decide, man. What you can tell is that this dream didn't seem to be related to you. I'll give you that. With that sort of Arcana check, you can tell that this is some sort of magical effect that's affecting you, and you guess it might have something to do with the fey creature, the Slumberfoot, allowing you to experience a very quick but relaxing rest before you quickly waken up again. Like, you just very quickly experienced this great experience, and perhaps a little too rapidly than you would have preferred.
Definitely a possibility.
Like, you laid down, closed your eyes, took several long breaths, and then immediately jumped to REM sleep, where you had this feeling that you were out in this endless sea of grain for like 10 minutes, and then you bolted upright. But you feel completely rested. So go ahead and mark off a long rest.
Alright, that's cool.
I'm not sure if you need it, but...
I'm gonna go find a Connor now.
Okay.
I want to pass the time.
Yeah, you can go fight Connor at the front of the ship. Or, wait, no, where is Connor?
Connor was at the front of the ship, kind of screaming off.
After that, you said you wanted to curl up and hide somewhere, right?
Yeah, I'm probably like in the cargo hold. Just,
Okay, Joshua, make an investigation check looking for him.
I probably have a letter written somewhere saying, if needed, in cargo hold, hiding.
Alright.
Alright, I'll give you advantage then.
Because that sounds like a very Connor thing to do. He wants to hide, but he's also like, ah, crap, these people my friends might need me, so I might as well tell them where I might be.
Yeah, we all know that feeling of like wanting to disappear and go and hide somewhere, but still wanting someone to be able to want them or need them and find them, yeah.
Does a 9 succeed?
You have advantage.
Disadvantage, bro.
I rolled another 9.
You are a wizard's apprentice. How do you not have a good modifier?
Because
I rolled 2 4s. And I have a +5 to investigation. Oh wait, no, I have a +0. I was looking at intimidation. Yeah, I have a +0 to investigation. So
okay, you get lost in the cargo hold.
Nice. Is it like when you're in IKEA?
Yes.
I was thinking more.
But at
sand.
least in IKEA, there's like a path that you can get back on, and you can, it has like arrows and whatnot. This is just a bunch of stuff. Like, eventually you might be able to find a staircase that leads you back up onto the main deck or down below, but just wandering around here, you don't know what is what.
Connor, if you can hear me, I blame you for getting me stuck down here.
Why am I being cursed with this all-knowing type knowledge? Damn it!
What are you up to, Jack?
I would imagine that Jack is probably up on probably up on the main deck where the cabin is,
Okay.
helping to keep a lookout and all that good stuff.
Okay. Just continuing to assist with the boat duties and whatnot.
Yeah. Well, got a job to do, might as well do it.
Sure. I'll say it's about like midnight at this point. Any sort of extraneous actions that you want to do or anything?
Joshua?
No, not that I can think of.
Okay.
Oh.
If Holger hear Connor he's kind of just screaming and crying in the hole.
Holger's not around.
I was asking Jack.
Oh,
Like,
I don't know.
like the note and stuff's like, or anybody who needs to find Connor is gonna find that note.
I unfortunately, I think with that we're gonna come to the dawn of the second day. With
And
Holger
Joshua
coming
is
back
still
with Merida, Connor waking up in the cargo hold, Joshua still trying to find his way around. And Jack, you're just sort of working through the night.
Joshua would like to roll a religion check.
Yeah.
A what check, Joshua?
A religion check to summon his god to get him out of here.
Okay.
He's some of this all-powered dude just to get
Are
you
you-
out of IKEA.
Are you just lost in the cargo hold?
Yeah, so he's gonna summon the ever-burning maw in the middle of the cargo hold to give him some directions.
I was thinking more like
Naturally.
Zoom
Make a
call.
religion check. Let's
Okay.
see how this shakes out.
Oh god, I want this to feel so hard.
16.
Okay. The obsidian golem behind you kind of flames up and burning through all the cracks in it. You can hear the voice. Your flame deity Gorthalax called to you. Hey yo, what's up, bud? What you need?
First, I need to find my friend Connor. He's somewhere down here moping or something. That was probably him. Second, I need directions out of the cargo hold. And finally, I was wondering if you knew any other elemental deities.
Well, sure. I mean, I can answer that last one. Again, I'm sort of like a flaming maw type deity, so I can't really, see things beyond the veil or give you otherworldly advice, especially because I'm technically supposed to be retired. And I'm not really allowed to peek in on the mortar realm so much. So, I can sort of talk to you, but I can't exactly, look around. Unless you want me to come down there and look around for you. But,
Joshua thinks about this for a second and decides summoning a flame deity on a boat is a bad idea.
I
yeah.
think you got it.
But he puts that in his back pocket for whenever he decides to overthrow the captain.
But, yeah, I mean, there's plenty of fire and flame related deities. What you looking for specifically?
I was actually thinking like the other four elemental type dealios, you know? Like your fire, there's gotta be like an earth, water, air kind of guy.
What I do appreciate that, but I'm actually not one of the ones that represents fire in the elemental council. But I do appreciate that. No. I'm just sort of one of the infernal aspects that represents well, consumption and creation, rather. Is sort of what I've been trying to, change my tune into, sort of, not just consume all, as it were. So I'm trying to, I guess I'm going for Hephaestus' spot, sort of forge aspect, but
No, I was talking more primordial, like you.
oh
Like
yeah,
you're
there's actually not that many primordials around, and if they are, they're kind of locked up, kind of like how I used to be. I got off for good behavior, but technically I'm supposed to be retired again, like I said, which is kind of the same thing as locked away. That's the one thing about deities and whatnot, is once they're around, they're kind of hard to get rid of. So, yeah, what's that about primordials? I feel like I'm not really answering your question, but I also trying to let you know it's not quite as straightforward as I think you're trying to make it out to be.
First of all, you barely know me, so you do not know how straightforward I can get. And second of all, I am straight up asking, is it possible for me to make contracts with the other three primordial elemental beings like
Ooh,
yourself?
bud, that'd be a pretty tough call if you're trying to get in contact with other primordials. I mean, like I said, it's nobody's really supposed to be in contact with me. No one's supposed to know I still exist. So, I mean, I really shouldn't be telling you that they're still around, but it's kind of obvious since they can't really be gotten rid of, because they kind of hold the basic elements of, well, reality and, other stuff. Trying to get in contact with one, I don't know, you'd have to bribe a deity in order to do that for you. I wouldn't know how to do that, though.
Do you know any particularly bribable deities, or ones at least willing?
No, I haven't really been in contact with the Pantheon for about a millennia now, so not particularly, no.
Would you straight up just teleport me to the nearest elemental? Elemental's prison, mind you, not straight to them.
Wait, are you trying to meet an elemental or a primordial? Because they're kind of different things. Like, the primordials do represent aspects of different worlds and whatnot, and then the elementals branch off from that as different, parts that make up those aspects. So,
I'm trying to meet a primordial.
okay.
Could you teleport me to a primordial's prison, and I could talk to them through the bars, so to say?
First off, I don't know where they're imprisoned. Second of all, I can't teleport much of anything. And, three, again, I'm not really sure what you're going for, why you're going for it, and, I don't think I'm quite as powerful as you think I am. Again, there's a lot of sort of aspects and abilities and, powers that are granted as privileges to, members of the Pantheon. They're allowed to do things and whatnot, but I don't specifically garner a lot of those myself.
Alright, so can you, in a broad sense, tell me your capabilities so I know not to disturb you so often.
Alright, okay, yeah, I mean, sure, I don't mind you contacting me. I just sort of trying to keep it on the down low so nobody can track us down and figure out that we're, that I'm in contact with the mortal plane. Yeah, I'm a big fire, so I can break down some of the other elements and transmute them a little bit. I am also the eternal maw, so I can consume most anything, really. But again, it doesn't get destroyed. It gets teleported to, well, I'll tell you about that when you're older, but, again, trying to lean more into the crafting and changing of things rather than just sort of destruction and whatnot. I really did appreciate being part of the World Forge, so trying to show that I have that capability on my own. So, but can't really show that without having some sort of patronage, which is, why I'm trying to work with you on that.
All right, well, here's another question. Do you know anything about this? And Joshua pulls out the god-killing bullet,
Well,
particularly the device used to fire it.
it's just some sort of black steel. I'm not really sure what its design is. It's very odd. Is that just some sort of stone you can throw, or I guess you could put that in a sling or something. Again, I haven't really been in touch with the mortal realm and what they've been inventing, but doesn't look like any sort of design I'm aware of.
All right. Well, I at least had to try. What can you tell me about this black steel?
Well, black steel is this sort of substance that can sometimes unnaturally occur in different places and, planes and whatnot. But it usually comes from the death of a pantheon member, or specifically some sort of deity passed on. Not primordials or elementals, though, specifically. But they're when their death occurs, you see their ichor is spilled. That's their, sort of godly blood that sort of spills out across the land. And usually they're able to, you can tap that sort of stuff up. But once they actually die, then they're, that ichor sours. And so that black blood kind of turns into the sort of not living substance, but still tries to bring life in some sort of strange absence. Anyway, it's a whole bunch of nasty tar-like nonsense that's pretty nasty. But once it gets imbued into properties like stone and rock and metal, and can lead to some pretty nasty you're looking at the black steel specifically, which is usually what it condenses down into, which can then be found and shaped by man and fought against the gods. So it's this reoccurring cycle. So black steel is usually something that we try to make sure is not led into hands of the mortals, because that just means they can kill more gods and get more.
Duly noted. Now here's another question.
Sure.
Is there some kind of metal or craftable substance I can use to contain power such as yours, but in a much more, I wouldn't say permanent, but much more long-lived way?
Oh, I mean, sure, you could get some sort of skin from, certain magical beasts and whatnot, or, craft something out of fur. There's lots of magical creatures and plants, not just rocks and ores and whatnot. Few different things. Scales of dragons. Unicorn hair. I'm sure you're looking for metals. Adamantine is probably the number one you're looking for. It's the most innately magical related substance. So.
All right. Now, is there a way I could find out where these primordials are held? Or is that kind of a...
And just to be clear, that is pretty common knowledge that stuff like unicorn, body parts and dragon body parts and adamantite are very magical, conducive things that are very easy to enchant, have very powerful magic properties. The best weapons, armor, and gear are made from those sorts of things. That's why they're highly sought after. Not because they're so rare, but I mean dragons and unicorns have been hunted to near extinction because of those properties. But that's pretty common information. What was your question? You want to know where the primordials are?
Where I could find somebody who does know, since this dude doesn't know.
Hey man, like I said, I haven't really been in touch, and I've been tasked to not be, so if I really tell you anymore, it's kind of breaking the rules. But I will ask that while you're sort of my charge, that you do make a good impression for me, being my first, champion, I suppose. Just kind of go out in the world and make a good impression that, Gorthalax is good for more than just destroying stuff, and is actually good at making stuff and change in the world.
Can you give me some sort of miracle I can show people to show that you're still around, so to say?
Well, it's really the whole idea is that I grant you some of my power, and then you kind of show that, it's not just used for blowing stuff up, but also good for, making things. Because, if word gets out that my eternal flame is good for more than just burning stuff, then I might be able to get back on the Pantheon, and then I might be able to take a peek at things and, move around and get in touch with my primordials again.
So if I get you a good reputation with the peoples of everywhere, you'll tell me, or at least be able to put in a good word or two with the other primordials?
Yeah. That's the short of it, rather.
All right. Thank you, Gorthalax. It's always enlightening when we talk.
It's Gorthalax, but that's it's all right. It's not an easy. You could just call me Gore for short.
Gorthalax. My apologies, my lord, but it's always enlightening when we speak, and I promise to contact you soon.
Yeah, hopefully not too soon again. Technically speaking, this is kind of illegal and could kind of end us both up in trouble.
Low.
Yeah. But as long as you've got your rock dude with you, shouldn't be too bad. If you do lose him, then that'll definitely be traceable back to me. So
don't worry, I have the perfect plan to keep him on the down low.
Oh, okay. What's that?
Oh, I was just going to dress him up as a bodyguard, but...
Oh, okay. Yeah, you could put some armor on him or something. Hey, you figure out a name for him yet?
I do believe that I have come up with the perfect name for such a encumbersome blessing.
Okay. That was weird, but...
What?
So what's the name?
I already said the name, Thomas.
Oh, I didn't hear that. Sorry. Cool.
Oh, alright.
Thomas.
Hey,
That's a fine name.
Alright, well, goodbye, my lord. Gore. Goodbye, my lord Gore.
Sure. Hang loose. The fire dies down inside of Thomas.
It feels like I am talking to a really old man sometimes with him, Thomas.
Thomas does not respond.
Understandable, Thomas. Less.
I just again cries in the distance.
Connor, did you you probably saw this interaction where Joshua was just talking to this flaming dude.
Yeah, I just fall out of the crate and be like, dude, what the hell? That's your deity or some shit?
I prefer business partner. Deity is such a dirty word nowadays.
I mean, isn't he a deity though?
I'm pretty sure he prefers primordial, but Connor, how would you like to help me with helping my deity so I can get more elemental power?
Sounds cool, man, but I'm kind of going through some weird shit right now.
You help me, I'll help you with your weird shit.
I explained him the weird shit that happened to me. I tell him the weird shit that happened. I think I encountered some dude who, I don't know, he's like some guy beyond the veil who calls himself Oz. I think he's a powerful wizard or something. Like level 20.
Is it
Level
possible
21.
this Oz of yours is the person who you're originally based on?
I don't know, man.
You are
What?
technically he doesn't have a godhead, so because all right.
I don't think I'm more of like a phylactery, or like by close definition. I'm an artificial entity created to more or less supervise things.
Exactly. So it's possible you were based on somebody or
Yeah,
purchased.
Yeah, that just sounds like a sad life.
It truly is. Now, I'm sure if you have a god in your debt, he can help you with that.
I don't know, man. I don't really trust this Oz dude. He may seem all great and powerful and stuff, but he seems really shady, like really behind the curtain of things. Like he might act like a powerful wizard sorcerer, but what if he's like,
references?
what references, man? I'm just stating obvious facts here. I just don't trust him. I think he's a bad guy. I think he's a really dangerous dude who really made me go into an existential crisis, man. Right? I have had way too many lives.
I was talking about making Gore a god, my boss, my business partner, Gore, into a god, and he can probably help you with your little problems.
Honestly, it sounds more like he's middle management.
No, he's my business partner. He's great at investments. He gave me a little bit of magic. And Thomas over there. Wave, Thomas.
Thomas waves.
I wave at Thomas. I gotta be very honest with you. It sounds like a pyramid scheme he's hooked you into.
No. You see, I sucked him into my pyramid scheme.
It's still a pyramid scheme. Who's on the top of this pyramid?
Kitango.
We are.
But I'm not a warlock.
Do
you want to be?
Look.
Welcome to the cold, Connor.
You have to trust me and be my charisma for a little while. Yeah?
I don't know. I got a pretty good charisma right now.
You just gotta be your normal bardish self.
You really want me to do my normal thing? I'm a guy
Actually,
who
no.
came the door out of nowhere just to rob a guy and then close the door in his face.
Actually, no, that's a terrible idea. Connor, what did they teach you in Bard College?
I didn't go to any bard college. I just got these powers out of nowhere. I've always had them. I've always
Oh
been
my
very charismatic,
God.
and good at all sorts of things, you know? I mean, try asking a sorcerer. I hear those guys are pretty rich and, you know, go to some fancy schools.
All right, Connor, I need you to be my charismatic assistant while I showcase Thomas over there as a blessing from Gortalax, Thor.
I'm going to call him the Eternal Mall.
Does that sound scary? And he doesn't want to be scary.
As scary as like a bunch of every other god that we've encountered, the World Serpent, the guy at the end of the world, for Pete's sake.
Look, Gore wants to be seen as a creation deity, a blacksmith, that his
Gore
eternal
sounds-
flame is worth
Okay.
more than destruction.
Honestly, Gore sounds even more violent than the Eternal Mall.
Okay, maybe we need.
We need PR. We need like Talia. She's got more of a brain cell between her than the two of us combined.
We do not tell. Joshua grabs Connor by the face and says, "We do not tell Talia about this."
Don't try to
Ever.
seduce me, dude. I don't need this.
Look, you help me, and I'm sure we'll find along the way a problem that can help with your little problem. Or a solution to your little problem with Oz, the great and powerful.
Just as
Deal?
long as, I just hope he ain't a wizard, man. Wait, does this involve us having to break into some like elemental prison?
Possibly not. Possibly yes. That entirely depends on how well this goes.
What
So
we
do you
gonna-
trust me as your best friend?
There's like a long pause. I guess. I don't know what else to do, man. It just sounds like you're asking me to help you start a cult.
That's exactly what I'm doing.
Oh,
Every
God.
religion is just a cult with a good PR team. Remember that, Connor.
I don't know, man. I think there's that one dude who kind of went really crazy with his cult.
Don't worry. That's why we have Holgear. I'm going to bring him in on this little charade
Oh my God.
as
I'm doing
a
a pyramid scheme.
financial backer of sorts.
Oh my God, this is a pyramid scheme. Are we going to bring that kid as well? Like, we asked Golgear to invite his friend, and we asked Jack to invite his friend. Is that what we're going to be doing?
No. You cannot allow Jack, Talia, or Mai to figure out this little scheme.
Why not?
Because they all have their own patrons, and those patrons are always listening.
I mean, isn't my patron technically listening since you're talking to me who I am him?
Yeah, but you're not a snitch, so you ain't telling anybody.
I mean, I'm not telling him anything. He's listening right now. It's like talking to a camera.
Yeah, but the person listening isn't a snitch, or else I'm gonna shake their legs.
They're gonna get to the end of time just to shake Katungu? Huh? Oh my God. Am I gonna blow up because I said the name?
Connor, calm down.
You calm down, man. I'm having some weird existential crisis. It turns out my name isn't even a real name. It's just some weird alias that somehow got coined up, and then Katungu ain't even a real name. It's just another alias I got coined up. Then this other dude named Oz, who I don't know if his name is real or if it's an alias he coined up. Where does the aliases stop?
Ugh. Maybe I should just bring in whole gear on this. He's less
No, you already brought
confusing.
me in on this. You already brought me in on this, and honestly, I need a distraction from my crazy shit with your weird crazy shit.
All right. Connor, your job is going to be as my assistant. You do what I say when it comes to religious matters concerning gore. Do you got it?
I'm not getting you coffee. If that's what you're wanting.
No, not at all.
Good, I'll shake you if you do.
All right, Connor, here's your first mission as my assistant.
Oh dear God.
Go get whole gear.
Goodness.
Why can't you come with me?
Because
I don't know how to leave this place.
Yes, exactly.
I need
I don't
you
know
to
I
how
don't
bring
know
me-
either. I just keep running down. I keep running down to your fountain open box and hit inside it. I've been in here for like all night. I don't know where I came in from.
It's at that point that you hear a voice behind you that says, "Hey, what are you guys doing down here?" And you turn and see the half orc Arlo, who gave you the sword.
You bastard! I want my movie back.
You guys
Arlo,
have
my
business
boy.
down here? Are you supposed to be down here?
I jumped on him. Give me my rapier.
You know you have mine, right?
Arlo,
Yeah.
my boy.
Yeah.
Oh,
Let's-
shit. I didn't know that. I forgot that.
Yeah,
That's
we-
my-
We just swapped swords.
Okay. Sorry, I forgot that. That's my bad.
Bruh.
I still jump on him and be like, "You bastard! You gave me a crazy sword."
Arlo, Connor, let's not fight in this sacred room of knickknacks and such. I have no idea what we're transporting.
I don't
Actually,
know.
Do you want Arlo to get you out of the cargo holds?
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Okay, he
I've been
does
stuck in here
so.
all night.
We move on with the campaign.
Yes.
May I have a conversation with the captain?
You may.
Okay.
Captain Hardgrave gives you a steely eye as you approach.
Captain, I've had a thought, and
Those are dangerous things to have.
yes, it's made me a little bit nervous, perhaps for no reason. Has Malachi shared with you his concerns that the incident was actually an attack rather than just an accident?
What do you mean?
I'm a little concerned that not. I'm worried that there might be a third party who's trying to stir up issues between the city-states, and that by causing a disruption and then stopping us could raise tensions between Need and everybody else.
That's the reason why they hired me for this job. They know that I'm one of the only few that isn't frightened off by a few threats, especially ones that they can't follow through on. I'll see this ship delivered, and its cargo. Speaking of which, have you checked the manifest today?
Is it today? It's not the. This is the second day.
Yes,
That
this
was
is the
all-
dawn of the
ev-
second day.
Okay.
So you
Not
checked
as
it
of-
last night, but you haven't checked it this morning.
I thought I should come to you before my shift. in the
Well,
event.
if you want my piece of advice, you just keep your thoughts focused on maintaining the safety and security of this vessel, and that starts by doing your job, not someone else's job or worrying about someone else doing their job. You just make sure you do your job and you do it well.
Aye, aye, Captain.
He gives you a nod.
Then I will go off to my shift.
What exactly were these accusations that wizard was having?
Nothing concrete, just the concern that if it was an actual attack, then perhaps somebody would want a weakening of relations.
I'm sure there's lots of people that would like to cut need out of the middle management process. We've been needed for so long that we've gotten so used to resting on that laurel. But every good businessman knows you keep your friends close and enemies closer. You keep them well fed and paid and find out which is which. But again, there's enough nonsense pondering and thinking about things. As long as you keep your head in the game and not too distracted, I need you to be able to deal with whatever is happening in the moment, not worrying about what could be or what was. You understand me?
Yes, sir. And if you don't mind my request, I think I would like a few shifts on watch.
Very well. We've got more than enough men to handle the different tasks.
Thank you, sir.
Just gives you a nod.
I'll go off to my shift.
Okay. Again, just to reiterate, he wasn't like counting you off or disparaging you or being like, you shouldn't be thinking. But he was, as a good captain, he was acknowledging your concern and telling you not to worry. Because he's already been worried and thinking about this sort of stuff.
Okay. Just double checking.
Yeah. You can have whatever theories you would like, but he's focused on delivering the ship. If he thinks if these are wizards that did this, maybe we'll have to look out for flaming fireballs. That's not going to make much of a difference. He's going to take each and every moment as it comes. And planning ahead really isn't going to do anything. If you plan for everything to go well, then most of the time it usually does. Again, if anything, they're supposed to maintain this presentation that they're just doing a normal business run, and whoever these enemies are will be attempting to do the same. As a businessman, he knows that you know that as well. You put on this face.
I suppose my main concern was about hijacking.
Okay. Then he lets you know that basically this cargo is too important for that to happen. The only one to gain from this cargo not getting there is whoever wants this cargo, because sinking the ship won't do anything. So unless there's something specifically that people want from this cargo. But again, you look on either side of you, and you're in a bit of a valley, because on either side there's pretty much just like sheer rock face that kind of goes up at a 45, and then it goes off into forest and mountainside or whatnot from there. But basically, there's no flat ground that's close or high enough to be able to do anything like, you know, catch a glider and fly over, or, you know, something. If there's anything suspicious, it will be immediately noticeable and can be dealt with.
Gotcha. Yeah, that was my primary concern.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Anything else you wanted to do?
If nothing comes of my shift and watches, then I guess try and learn tools from anyone who would be willing.
Okay. Well, I think Connor and Joshua wanted to have a talk with you.
They gotta find me first.
Okay. But yeah, you guys can take naps whenever you want, and I mean, if you want, I've got more dreams listed here if you want me to narrate one for you. But basically, you have these really, not really intense dreams, but they're very, very simple, very one thing specifically. And then it kind of gets a little bit existential, and then you wake up. And that's basically what they are. Just very short, but, you know, vibrant images. Because you're basically getting, you know, that REM sleep very quickly.
You got from fantasy, right?
Which is actually why you remember dreams, not because you have them or not, but if you have that deep sleep where your, you know, conscious mind turns off, then your subconscious can just sort of like make up stuff and run through, you know, what you've gone through in the day and life, and, you know, go over problems, their experiences and whatnot, and just sort of blah, 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 throw it all out there in garbage, and it doesn't have to make rules or sense or whatnot. But when you start to wake up, your conscious starts to you know, be aware of those dreams and analyze it and whatnot. And then usually why you forget dreams is because the conscious is like, oh, that's nonsense, don't remember that, just forget that. So that's your conscious telling you to forget dreams, which is why you usually never remember your dreams. Or if you do remember them, it's hard to hold on to them because they're not real memories, basically. Anyways, just a little tidbit of information. Any percent speed run sleep.
Joshua is gonna find Holger.
Okay.
I was gonna go with him and be like, we gotta go through this again.
Yeah, do you guys go into the car where I am? Do you return to that which you fled?
I mean, they would probably look for you at your bunk and then look about the deck, I suppose.
We'll go to the girls that he's been clearly not been flirting with and ask, hey, have you seen Holger?
Yeah, you can ask around and find Holger pretty easily, I would think. As long as you're not specifically trying to hide, I think it's pretty easy to find anyone aboard ship.
It is.
Like, the cargo hold is its own beast, but, you know, the deck or lower bunks is pretty easy to maneuver.
Yeah.
There's also like a big sort of section between the bunks in the middle that's kind of like a mess hall sort of thing as well.
Oh,
So,
galley area?
yeah, you can kind of go hang out down there as well.
I just imagine, like, Connor and Joshua, they're just standing outside the entrance of the cargo, and you're like, we have to go through here.
Yes, we do, Connor, my boy. For the betterment of me and society.
I
And
climb on Thomas, and I'm just clinging on to him because it's like, wherever Thomas goes, Joshua's going. Wherever Josh goes, Thomas goes. So it's at least I'm not going to get lost in here again.
I mean, yeah, Thomas can carry somebody if you want.
I climb on top of one. I'm just gonna Like, is he gonna like I can't remember that Pokemon, the steel type that's round headed?
I mean, I suppose he can take whatever form Joshua wants him to when he's not a furnace or forge or anvil or something. But I always imagined him as like a humanoid, I suppose.
Thomas, take the form of a small cube thing with legs and follow me.
Okay.
Crap,
Yeah.
the box.
He's just an oven with legs.
And kind of
Exactly.
just sitting on top of it.
Okay.
Crisscross applesauce.
Now,
All right.
Thomas, follow me.
He follows you.
Joshua yells out Holgier's name, searching for him.
All gear.
You guys will probably notice the glowing lights that are floating around Holgier in the cargo.
Oh,
Wait,
you going through the manifest?
Yeah, I'm going through the manifest using dancing lights to sort of
Okay.
double check that everything's where it's supposed to be.
Sure.
Fair enough.
Easy enough.
Holgier, my main man. My man with the plan. Starting a cult, so we need your help.
Okay, first off, I'm none of those things. You two are the closest to each other, and I rarely plan ahead.
Sounds like Mr.
Oh.
J has another idea.
Oh no.
Is that a Joker reference?
Remember?
Why yes, but
Take an egg point. Fine.
Thank
yay.
you.
Wait, do I get the egg point as well? Or no?
No, Joshua. Just Joshua.
Okay.
I do them so rarely. I used to do them more often. Anyway, continue.
That's a total of 9 egg points.
Okay, yeah, you should really start using some.
No. I
Okay.
prefer auto turns. Holgier, you have certain backing, both politically and financially, or at least socially, financially, that could benefit my beginnings of a religious organization greatly.
Why do you want to start a religious operation?
Because it will lead to me getting more mystical, magical power of mysticism and help me hold up an end of a bargain.
And that's a guarantee?
That is a guarantee.
Also,
Does
I'm
it-
kind of in a secret crisis.
Say that again.
Also, I'm having a bit of a crisis.
That too.
I feel like that part's a bit more than money. Are you alright?
Not really, honestly. I've kind of been. I know I'm out there, but it's kind of getting a little too out there for me. I discovered that the name I go by Connor isn't even my real name. It's just an alias I made up, and then Kitani is not even a real name. It's just an alias that was made up. And then I encountered this one dude named Oz, who I think might be a wizard. He seems really great and powerful. Although I don't even think Oz is his real name. It just might be an alias. So now I'm just like, is there a freaking real name to this line of aliases or not?
Does it really matter?
I mean, it feels like it should matter to me at this point. It's kind of just hurting my head a lot.
Well, I suppose. Is it more than one voice to go with more than one alias, or is it just one?
Is it one voice or is it like multiple voices going with us?
There was just the one version of that other version of you that you've been talking to.
It was just that one version. Like it's like he's the one that's talking to that's looking at me and talking to me rather than me looking through the other comers.
So why don't you name him?
That's what he said he was named, and I pitched every other name I came up with, and he seemed to like us, or it was like another name, but it was kind of on it. It's just say my sanity a little.
Well, if there's only one person who's in your head actually making it awkward, then give him whatever name you feel like, I suppose. Whatever he calls himself, themselves, itself, it doesn't really matter so long as that you know it's it. Does that make sense?
I guess, but I don't know. It's just these deities are just getting weird. You know, like you ever get that
Thank
feeling like you ever get that feeling like all these deities that are interacting with us don't really care what goes on with us. They're just using us in some screwed up chess game.
Not so much chess, but I don't think they really give that much of a shit.
I mean, you get my drift though on the chess reference, right?
I understand that they might try and use us as pawns, but usually that's like clerics, paladins, you know,
Warlocks.
warlocks too, but usually warlocks are considered nefarious.
Watch it. I'm standing
he's a-
right here.
He's a warlock too.
Yeah, and you're up to some weird shit.
Only by D&D class. You can be whatever you want to be.
All right.
You have a patron. You are somebody's ward. You are a champion of Gorthalax.
Yeah, and he's trying to get me at a cult. Classic warlock behavior.
It's more of a religious organization.
It's more of a
it's
fan
because-
club.
I would say it's more of a
Yeah.
No, it's more of a fan club.
Ooh,
No,
ooh.
it's a pyramid scheme.
Here you go, Holger. Here's a word that you might understand. It's called a union.
Yes, it's a union.
No,
Look,
don't talk about
I
the
just-
unions, man. Those are too
Look.
shady. I used to do union work. Nah.
Connor, as my assistant, I request that you allow me to speak.
Yeah, we'll talk more about the pyramid scheme later.
It's not a pyramid scheme, mind you.
By the way, do you even know what you're asking me? You mentioned political favors, social, whatever the fuck.
Look,
Money.
you have a certain standing among the people of need, and
Yeah. Need. Where we left.
and
Doesn't
I'm
matter
sure
now.
that you can transfer that standing to any city, since I'm sure your exploits are well documented now.
I'm flattered, but no.
Okay, but still,
No.
I
That's not how
require
that
your
works.
help. I
Yeah,
require your help making a organization dedicated to the worship of your, my patron, business partner, man.
do you even know what he considers worship?
He wants to become a crafting deity. So maybe you can spread a little good faith around the unions of blacksmiths and the such.
Holger is gonna look down at himself and see like the emerald that he has on his lapel, and it's just gonna be like, do I look like I'm going to be rootin' and tootin' with the unions? I generally deal with the upper class. If you want clout, I guess is the term, for the working class, then Jack would be your better bet.
Jack is way too close to Talia And I don't think she'd approve of me building a cult.
See, even
can
you
always
call
call
it a
it a-
cult.
Can always just call it a pyramid scheme.
That's
It's
not
not
better.
a pyramid scheme.
I mean, it sounds a lot better than a cult.
They're pretty
call it-
similar, honestly.
We'll call it the Gortholax Party. How about that?
I don't know. It still sounds like a pyramid scheme / cult.
Arose
Wait,
by
are-
any other name.
Wait, is this gonna be another resistance thing? Are you gonna do headbands or whatever?
Look, that was a complete accident, and you can't keep blaming me for that. It got
what's
way
this
out
about
of
a-
control. I swore off resistances for at least another 2 decades, so yeah.
Wait, what's this about a resistance?
No, we're
Yeah.
not building a resistance.
Before he met Gorthalax, he basically headed the resistance. Freedom
I
fighter.
swore off heading any more resistances.
What happened?
There was a
Things
riot.
got out of control. Why do
There
you
was a
think I'm
riot.
building a organization now? Things got too out of control. You talk to people with lots of control. If I can just allow them to sway under my control, well, not my control, but more like Gorthalax. Look, it's complicated. I just need your clout and possibly money from time to time.
I gotta be very honest with you. This is not a reinforcing my want to help you, Joshua. You're my
So,
friend, but this
Already
really-
agreed to it. No backsies.
I kind of feel
No
like I should
takesies,
just.
backsies.
I feel like I am going to take a takesy backsy where I'll do what I do in every other situation like this.
I have to ask,
Sorry,
what
it's
am I
just,
supposed to get out of this?
It's just so funny how slowly but surely Joshua's realizing how crazy it is what he's asking.
Look, I'm trying to play Joshua as a slow, smart person, if that makes sense.
Ah, okay.
Oh, high intelligence, low wisdom.
Yeah, he has high intelligence. He doesn't even have high intelligence, but he's wise. He's not very wise, so to say, but he's smart.
So, in exchange for an unknown amount of money at an unknown time and unknown political favors, I get what?
You get
A piece of the action.
a total of 59% of all monetary profits.
Hey,
Ownership
what about
of
me?
At what point are we getting profit? You've just described. Generally,
Fine,
religions
you
aren't
get
full
90%
of
of the profits. Again. What profit?
Okay, how about I upped it to 90% and you stop asking questions?
profit. No.
Joshua,
See,
you're really
any
bad
money
at
that
this.
you make while running this whole gear, you get to have 90%.
Okay,
And
so here's
it
what.
is-
Okay, do you want a more detailed plan or just a rundown?
I would.
kind of slowly moving over to whole gear's side just to see how long it takes him to realize he's taking a deep hole.
Okay,
I am
look.
deeply curious what sort of plans you have.
Okay, look.
'Cause
I
I'm
made a
sure
deal
they're
with.
wild.
Look, to put it simply, I made a deal with a warlock patron. I may fuck this up and possibly die if I don't get the right amount of religious zeal for the guy, so
How do you know you're getting the right religious zeal?
he's a god.
I mean, you said right religious zeal, so what's the right religious zeal for a god of fire?
No, he wants look, he wants a new thing. He wants to be a god again. He was the primordial we met way back when.
I remember the big G. He
So,
wants to be different.
yes, he
You
wants
said,
to. No, continue. Continue.
I mean,
you
he was
said
there
he
when
wa-
you met him.
Yeah, I big fireworm, kind of hard to miss.
The
Uh,
big G.
yeah. Uh, you mentioned he wants to move horizontally, I guess, deity chart from primordial. Is he trying to stop being a primordial and become a forging god, or is he just both?
He wants to stop being a primordial and become a foraging god, as far as I know. And
I
you can
want to
only
be.
become a foraging god if you are believed to be a foraging god. So, yeah, I'm
Well, what?
starting a. You know what? It's a flipping cult. We're calling it a cult.
You just automatically accepted it as a cult.
And just to be clear, and Holger, you would know this, primordials are referring mostly to, types of creatures where, deities are powerful beings and whatnot, that have impact on the planar system and whatnot. Primordials were aspects that were shaped and, made, the universes and whatnot, and then more powerful beings, uh, you know, took control of different jobs and whatnot, like the Raven Queen or Vecna or whatnot, whether they were mortals once or whatnot, they had then such rose to power and just, made sort of a ruling system upon, who can do what and whatnot. And so creatures like the Titans and Primordials were, hidden and locked away so that they're not just these sort of random rafts of power that can just do stuff.
Gotcha.
You know,
I suppose my next question is just, you're confident he just wants to be a smithing god or creation god, correct? Because
I am 99.999% sure he wants to just be a smithing god.
he thinks so, but he doesn't want to commit.
Well, that's the thing. His whole deal is, from what I understand, is that he was basically burning and creating whatever he felt like. Wouldn't that just be fire? Why wouldn't he just be the god of fire? He can burn and create as his whim feels, I guess.
Well, you see, I think
But
it's sort of retirement or reverse retirement for him, where he
If
gets
you
a
want, I
new
can
job.
briefly explain the situation.
No,
Holger, in your
I wanna
studies, you would
try and
also know
diffuse
that
this
there is
myself.
like a council of elementals that are tangentially related to the pantheon of deities that control who does what and what can have access to what.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Maybe next session we can do a whole rundown of the situation because I need to go to bed.
Okay.
Yeah, me too.
Sorry.
Yeah.
was
Let's just
fun
end the
discussion.
let's just end the session here.
Hold here. If
Guys.
you
wait, hang on. Jack, before we end the session, is there
Oh,
anything
yeah.
you would like to do?
Oh shit! Sorry, Jack. Jack, I think your mic's busted.
Or maybe he's just not saying anything. He might have stepped away or something.
All right. Well, sorry again, Jack, if we kind of put you to the back seat this session. A great session, guys, though.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, there was a lot. The whole explaining cult, not cult thing was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was kind of funny. I feel like Connor's kind of low key side with Holgear just just to see how long it takes him to realize that it's a cult and also a pyramid scheme.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly it seems like he realizes it's a cult. He's just still adamant it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Well, night, guys.
Good night.
Good night.
And
See you later.
before we call it, I could, just because of your, studies, whole gear, I can give you a quick rundown on sort of the generalism of the situation, or you can make some sort of check if you want to get some deeper information.
I don't trust my rolls, but I'll go for it anyway.
Okay.
Arcana, history?
Whichever you feel is more prevalent.
Probably
Religion or whatnot. Okay.
Let's go, Jesus. Middling. I got a 14.
Okay. So general information is that, creatures like essences of, chaos, light, dark, fire, different aspects of, what things are. That's what the primordials were, just sort of like maneuvering around in this darkness space and whatnot. And then, other creatures were shaped from that, where they became essences or, captains of specific things like elementals. So elementals, had this sort of racial understanding of each other, and then they became a hierarchy, and then there were council representatives for those different elementals representing, people from the different elemental planes. When the, prime material plane was created, then things got a bit more muddied, and other people, beings, and creatures grew into power, which is sort of what the patrons are now, with different deities and whatnot having aspects that they rule over. They do have powers and abilities, but moreover what they rule and control is a job that they have either earned or have been given, because they have chosen to do so, or it was thrust upon them. So what Gorthalax's situation is because he was a primordial, he's been around since the beginning of everything, and he's just a primordial fire, and most of the primordials have either been snuffed out or locked away for eternity, but because Gorthalax was willing to assist the Pantheon in taking control of the planar system, he was given a I forget the term, but basically a pass. So he was granted amnesty. That was the term I was looking for. He was allowed to separate himself from the war because he technically was a traitor. But one of the jobs that he got was being able to power the World Forge, which is when these other planes were created, like the prime material plane. But then since the planes were created, and all these different creatures of power were given things to do, aspects to watch over and whatnot. Basically, there was a lot less infighting because they got to do stuff and got something of their own out of it, basically.
Okay, so he more or less just wants his own slice of the pie.
Right. Basically, he enjoyed the good old days of actually getting to do stuff, because now that he's been forced to retire, which is basically the same thing as being imprisoned away from the rest of the world forever and ever. He doesn't get to see or do anything or impact it in any way or whatnot, and he wants to come back into it, and he think he might be able to, because he's trying to show that he's not just this, he's trying to change the name of Primordial Fire and not just be this ever burning thing. He's trying to live beyond the names of like the insatiable maw or the internal flame and stuff like that, and he wants to be a symbol of creation and life and whatnot, like he was when he made or helped make the planar system. And that's basically a situation. With a 14, I'll say that you can learn a little bit more on something else. Do you have any questions specifically?
I suppose, are there any openings in the Pantheon? Or is that something we're going to have to force our way into?
No, I mean, again, the Pantheon is such a loose concept that it's less about seats to be filled and more about like finding a spot to claim as your own. So, at the moment there are, different deities and whatnot that govern creation and life and, all this other stuff. I think since Hephaestus died, there hasn't necessarily been one for specifically crafting, but also that's such a very niche and specific thing that it's kind of been overlapped with all these different things. Sort of like when Demeter just sort of took over when whatever.
Okay.
It's just
So
it's just an I was gonna say an amalgam. Never mind.
Amalgamation?
Yes, amalgamous. Just sort of washed over. So basically, if he wants a seat on the Pantheon, he has to make his own seat and have to have some sort of
Gotcha.
standing. And the way he's trying to do that is by showing that there can be some good done by specifically granting champions and heroes the power of creation.
Sounds pretty sick to me. Okay, so we just gotta find him his own spot. Or help him build one anyway.
Right. And I think mostly what Joshua's concern is that he kind of just jumped at the chance to get some power, and now that he's in this position, he's starting to maybe regret it a little bit and want some help with the technicalities of what this has turned into a little bit of a business. And so because he knows that you are at least somewhat knowledgeable and understanding the bigger picture of things, he's trying to get your assistance with it. So if you, I think the better term that he should have used was as a friend asked for you to advise him, and not like try to say that this is a group that is trying to do something.
Yeah, I feel like he probably shouldn't have come at me like it was Shark Tank.
Right. Because again, I don't think what he was trying to sell was that he is starting up a group process where they are going to be doing stuff for his deity, and rather that he's got a deity and he wants your advice on something. And I'm not sure why he made it so culty, but I think that's just sort of his character. So
Yeah.
anywho,
We can talk. Yeah, we'll definitely get into it next session.
yeah. But yeah, I just wanted to be clear on that. Yeah. Unless you have anything else, is there anything else you guys wanted to ask or say or do for calling it a night?
Have anything? Jack, do you?
Yeah. You guys can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I don't think I'm gonna come back, guys.
Okay.
I think the let's not include Jackie in on it was like the last straw, and I'm not feeling it anymore.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
I'm not sure why he said it like that. And also the aspect that we didn't really have a whole lot of people this session, and just just the sort of idea of letting a few people have their moment is good, I feel like, but when we don't work as a team is when it becomes a problem. And I think that is a big problem on my part, and I think I should do something about it. And if you do not feel welcome here, Jack, I do apologize. But I also won't make you stay here because I want to try and work it out.
I will say, I was
Yeah,
planning on
I don't see it
wrapping
being able to
in.
work out very well.
All right.
All right.
What's that?
I was just gonna say I was gonna try and wrap you into if you were down, but it's all right if you're not feeling it.
Yeah, I'm just not. So,
Alright.
best of luck, you guys. But I
Well,
don't
it's
think
been
I'm gonna come
fun.
back. Yeah, it has. Yeah.